Greetings. It's good to be with you once again, and I trust you have enjoyed the first 2 weeks of our studies here in the literature of John and his writings. I have enjoyed your interaction the first 2 weeks and listening to you share with one another. And I know there are other assignments, but I just want to remind you the threaded discussions are important. I know that in the big scheme of things, those points may not seem like much, especially the 5 points per response, but all of those points, those little points add up at the end. So you'll want to keep that in mind to be involved with this. But even more importantly is the fact of as you interact with one another, you learn from one another. It's been my experience that the person who thinks they know all the answers hasn't been asked all the questions. So we all can learn from one another, even myself. So we do glean from this time of interacting through our threaded discussions. Or as we should put it biblically, iron sharpens iron. So we do draw from one another in this time. Hope you've been enjoying this, and we're going to look at week 3 and our assignments for week 3 to kind of give you a little heads up. The first threaded discussion is our structural analysis of key terms in John's writings and the phrases that are used there. As I mentioned before, John was a great thinker and theologian, and we draw very much from his writings, and he uses certain key phrases, and this is a time to assimilate those things and share them, and also look in Thomas's book, and between the scripture and Thomas's writing, you'll see those key phrases, and you draw from them, and you'll want to be sure to use the PDF example to help you with this assignment. It's been my experience this assignment maybe has been one of the more difficult for some of the students to grasp. So be sure to use this example. And if you do struggle with this, this doesn't mean to be a cop-out, but I want to encourage you just to do it to the best of your ability. And I appreciate the effort you put in towards this, as this is a time to learn some very key things about John. The second threaded discussion is probably one of my favorites in all of this course, and it concerns the Antichrist in 1 John. This section of talking about Antichrist is historical, it is theological, and as a pastor and lifelong minister, I think this is important to apply it to more than just the classroom. This idea, this thought, and this teaching is relevant to our day. I mean, when you think about it, I'll just ask you, do you see this spirit of Antichrist at work even now in our world today? John saw this, and he mentioned it in his writings. And I think it is something we can look at also and see, does this spirit work today? And of course, this refers to, I don't want to do all of your writing for you, but of course we know of the figure of the Antichrist. It's spoken of and referred to in the time of Revelation. But this has a very end-time outlook. And so I want to encourage you to look at all of this and share your thoughts about this. And I look forward to your comments and your interaction concerning this. Now, on the third assignment, it's concerning your final paper. You began with your topic, your passage that you're going to be writing about. Then last week, you were to list your research sources. And in this, now I am flexible. If you find something along the way that you want to add and you don't get it in your second week assignment, it doesn't mean you can't add it. So that is flexible, but you need to have some foundation to begin your work and begin your studies as you have your sources. But then this week, you are to be have an assimilation of your research. This will be a synopsis or an unabridged layout for your final paper. This kind of helps get you in the right direction. You start pulling information from those sources and you start putting a little meat on that, on that passage or topic that you're working on. Well, I hope this is an enjoyable course. John's writings sometimes may seem overlooked when we compare to the magnitude of Paul's writings, but truly there are many, as I like to say, golden nuggets in John's writing, and I pray that you will receive much from them. And as you go through this week, I pray that the Lord may bless you and keep you. The Lord make his face to shine upon you and be gracious unto you. The Lord turn his face towards you and give you peace. Have a great week 3.